My parents slapped my daughter, the sound cracking like a storm. I'm Iris Coleman's 40. A lawyer who thought I'd seen it all until that night. Their hands struck her face as they hissed, "We'll teach her instead of you." Her tears hit the floor knives in my chest. I froze, my phone burning in my grip. For years I'd swallowed their cruelty, but this was the last straw. My daughter's sobs pierced the silence, and a choice rose inside me, one that could end their hold on us. This wasn't just a single incident. It was the sum of every slight, every betrayal. They had crossed the line. The air felt heavy, electric, like a storm about to break. One call, one decision, and everything would change. What would you have done in my place? Tell me in the comments where are you watching from. Hit like and subscribe to follow the rest of the story. The truth is still coming. Another memory struck, dragging me back years. My family was never what I hoped it could be. I'm Iris Coleman, trapped in a web of favoritism woven by the people meant to love me most. My daughter River, only 8, treasures her violin and carries my heart. My husband Todd, a steady software engineer, has always stood by me. But my mother Miriam and my father Leonard built a world where my sister Brenda and her daughter Jade always came first. I was the afterthought, the one who never measured up. It began with a trip to the Grand Canyon. I was 30, a young lawyer clawing my way up, dreaming of campfires with my parents and Brenda. River wasn't born yet, and Todd was saving for our wedding. Days before we were set to leave, Mom canceled. "Brenda and Jade deserve a European tour," she said, her voice final. Dad backed her as always, his silence louder than words. They emptied the family fund, including my contributions for Paris. What I got was a postcard, no apology, just a glossy shot of the Louvre. My chest tightened, but I stayed quiet, telling myself family meant giving without expecting in return. I believed they'd value me someday. The pattern held. Years later, I was fighting for partnership at my firm. My first big presentation was a chance to prove myself, a case that could define my career. I invited Mom and Dad, desperate for their pride. They showed up late, whispering about Jade's piano recital across town. "Her performance is too important," Mom said, dragging Dad out before I began. Brenda never came, she was busy coaching Jade. My slides trembled in my hands as their empty seats stared back. Todd's steady grip grounded me, but the rejection burned. My work meant nothing next to Jade's clumsy notes. There was always an excuse. "Jade's a prodigy," they'd claim, or "Brenda needs our support." I forced a smile, hoping harder work would earn respect. Brenda soaked up their attention, never questioning it, while Jade grew entitled, her every whim indulged. River, bright and gentle, remained invisible. Todd urged me to set boundaries, but I clung to hope, believing I could mend the gap. Looking back, those moments stoked a fire I hadn't known I carried. My parents' choices, their relentless bias, paved the road to what came next. The divide wasn't just a crack, it was a chasm waiting to consume us. 15 years ago, I was burning the midnight oil. At 25, I juggled 2 jobs and law school, chasing a dream I could barely afford. Mornings found me at a diner pouring coffee until noon. Nights ended at the library shelving books until closing. Between shifts, I crammed for exams, my eyes heavy, my wallet thinner. Tuition ate every dollar, determination consumed every hour. Meanwhile, my sister Brenda studied art in London, funded by Mom and Dad's savings, the same fund I'd once paid into. They never offered me a cent. When I called home hoping for encouragement, Mom's voice cut sharp. "Law's a grind. Brenda's studying something real, something creative." Dad muttered his agreement. I swallowed the hurt, telling myself harder work would earn their respect. My hands blistered from trays at the diner, my feet ached from endless shifts, but I pushed on. Law school was my escape, my chance to stand tall. Todd, my fiancé back then, met me after class with a cup of coffee and a steady, "You've got this." His belief steadied me when theirs tore me down. One night I called to share I'd aced a mock trial. "That's nice," Mom said absently. Brenda's painting was accepted into a gallery. Dad added, She's talented, Iris. You're just practical. That word stung like a slap. While they mailed Brenda checks for her art, I scraped by on exhaustion. I wasn't jealous of her; she could chase her dreams. What gutted me was their refusal to see mine. Under a flickering lamp, I promised myself I'd prove them wrong. Todd saw the toll. They're blind, he told me. You're stronger than they know. I wanted to believe him, but I still craved their pride. I skipped meals, took extra shifts, and watched my grades climb, but their recognition never came. Brenda's showcase, they'd say. Her professor says she's gifted. My milestones, passing the bar, winning my first case, barely drew a nod. Now I see how their bias shaped me. Every late night, every sacrifice built the woman I became. But their constant dismissal left scars I didn't recognize. Then scars that would ache again years later in ways I couldn't imagine. Years later, success shifted their tone. I'd climbed high partner at a top law firm, my name known in Greenwood Village. But the shine didn't bring pride, it brought need. To them, I was no daughter or sister, just a resource. I couldn't see it then, too eager for their approval. It began with Brenda's car. She appeared at my office, eyes bright, pointing to a sleek convertible in a catalog. "I need this for Jade," she said, as if it were obvious. "You're doing well, Iris. Help your sister out." I hesitated, but being needed felt good. I wrote the check, $60,000. The next day, Mom gushed about Brenda's new chapter while Dad muttered, "Good job, Iris," as if I'd fulfilled a duty. Not a word about me. I forced a smile, convincing myself family meant giving. Then came the trips. Brenda wanted a Caribbean cruise with Jade, a bonding experience. Over dinner, Mom pushed. "You've got the means," she said sweetly. "Brenda's had a tough year." Dad nodded without looking up. I paid for flights, hotels, spa days, thousands gone. I thought it would buy love, maybe a seat at their table. Instead, Brenda sent beach selfies, no thanks, while Mom bragged about Jade's worldly perspective. Meanwhile, my own daughter River and my husband Todd were invisible to them. "They're using you," Todd warned, but I clung to the idea we were family, not a transaction. The giving never stopped. Brenda's rent, Jade's supplies, Mom and Dad's anniversary dinner at a 5-star restaurant, I covered it all. They called me generous, but their eyes stayed cold. I wasn't their daughter, just their bank. Still, I kept reaching for affection that never came. One Sunday, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Jade's birthday is next week. You're coming, right? She'd love to see you." It read more like a command than an invitation. Jade barely knew me, but guilt twisted in my stomach. Todd glanced over. "You don't owe them," he said, but I typed back, "We'll be there," my fingers heavy. That message pulled me back into their orbit. I didn't realize it was the start of something bigger, something that would break us apart for good. Their Greenwood Village mansion glowed under the evening lights. I walked in with River's hand in mine and Todd at my side. The dining room buzzed with chatter, decorated for Jade's 9th birthday. Miriam and Leonard stood beaming while guests fawned over Jade. Brenda hovered, snapping photos. River, clutching her violin case, seemed smaller in the crowd. I squeezed her hand, hoping tonight would be different. Mom unveiled a sleek violin, its polished wood catching the light. "For Jade," she declared proudly. "A Stradivarius replica, perfect for her talent." Leonard applauded, and the room erupted. River's shoulders slumped. I'd spent months teaching her violin, yet no one looked her way. Todd whispered, jaw tight. I forced a smile. It was just one night. River tugged my sleeve, eyes hopeful. "Can I play?" she asked. I nodded, pride swelling. She stepped forward, coaxing a soft melody from her modest violin. The notes were clear, heartfelt, practiced for weeks. For a moment, the room quieted. I thought they'd finally see her. Then Jade laughed, sharp and cruel. "That's so basic," she sneered. "Mine's way better." Brenda smirked, saying nothing. Anger burned, but I kept my voice low. "River's doing her best," I said, kneeling beside her. "Keep going, sweetheart." Mom cut in, icy. Jade's right. Her violin is professional grade. River's just learning. Dad nodded, eyes fixed on Jade. River faltered, the melody breaking. I stood, voice firm. She's 8, Mom. She's sharing something special. Brenda rolled her eyes. Don't make a scene, Iris. It's Jade's day. Jade snatched River's violin, twirling it carelessly. This thing's so cheap, she mocked, mimicking squeaks. Guests chuckled, and fury tightened my chest. I stepped forward, reclaiming the violin. That's enough, I snapped. River deserves respect. Mom's eyes narrowed. Don't embarrass Jade, she's the star tonight. Leonard added, Let it go, Iris. You're overreacting. River's eyes welled. Todd's hand on my shoulder urged restraint. But I couldn't let it slide. You're dismissing my daughter, I said louder now. She's family too. Brenda scoffed. Stop being dramatic. Jade's got real talent. The room stiffened, eyes darting between us. Jade, emboldened, played a flashy scale on her new violin, drowning out River's quiet sobs. Mom clapped, praising her gift. I pulled River close, my heart pounding. They'd chosen their side, and it wasn't us. The birthday cake arrived, but the mood soured. The dining room, still buzzing from Jade's performance, felt like a pressure cooker. River clutched her violin, her face streaked with tears. Todd stayed close, his eyes wary. Miriam and Leonard doted on Jade as she soaked in the praise, while Brenda passed out cake with a smug grin. I wanted to leave, but River whispered, I just want to play one more time. Her voice broke my heart, and I nodded, hoping it might mend the night. She began again, her fingers steady despite the chatter. The fragile notes floated upward, a plea for recognition. Jade rolled her eyes, then suddenly yanked the instrument from River and slammed it against the table. Wood split, strings snapping with a sharp twang. River gasped, reaching out. That's mine, she cried. Jade smirked. It's junk anyway, she sneered, kicking the wreck across the floor. I lunged forward, pulse racing. Jade, stop, I shouted, pulling River back. Brenda only laughed. Kids, roughhouse Iris. Relax. But River shoved past me, grabbing Jade's arm. You broke it, she yelled, tears pouring. The room froze. Miriam's face hardened. River, behave, she snapped. Before I could react, her hand struck my daughter's cheek. Thunder cracked again. Leonard followed with a harsher blow, his voice cold. We'll teach her instead of you. River stumbled, sobbing, her hand pressed to her face. Rage burned through me. Todd gripped my arm, but I shook him off. You hit my child, I said, my voice low and trembling with fury. Miriam scoffed. She needs discipline. You're too soft. Brenda hugged Jade like she was the victim. Jade stuck out her tongue untouched, while the shattered violin lay abandoned on the floor. Guests whispered, but no one intervened. I knelt beside River, wiping her tears, my hands shaking. Years of favoritism, demands, and dismissal flashed through my mind. I'd given everything, cars, trips, endless support, and they repaid me by breaking my child. My phone weighed heavy in my pocket, a lifeline to a choice I'd long avoided. I rose, my voice cutting through the silence. Enough. You get nothing more from me. Not Brenda, not Jade, not any of you. Miriam's jaw dropped. Leonard's eyes narrowed. Brenda sputtered. But the decision was already made. I took River's hand, Todd close behind, and we walked out, leaving the splintered violin behind. Their voices faded, but the weight of that moment burned in me, a fire that would never go out. In the car, River's sobs echoed in my chest. My daughter's red, swollen face was all I could see. Todd drove in silence, his knuckles white on the wheel. The night swallowed us, but my resolve hardened. I pulled out my phone and dialed Mr. Thomas Reed, my firm's top lawyer. His voice was steady, professional, as I laid out my decision: cut all financial support to my family, including their claim to the Greenwood Village mansion. It's in my name, I told him. I've been paying the mortgage, taxes, everything. He promised to draft the papers by morning, cutting off their access completely. I hung up, a weight lifting, though the pain for River remained. By dawn, my phone lit up with notifications. Brenda had posted a long rant online calling me ungrateful and selfish. She claimed I'd abandoned family, that I had stolen their home. Mom shared it, adding her own venom. Iris turned her back on us after all we've done. Comments flooded in, strangers, distant cousins, even old friends joined the attack. Jade posted a photo of her new violin with the caption, "Some people are just jealous." My stomach churned, but I scrolled on each word. Another cut. Todd read over my shoulder, his voice low. "They're desperate. Let them scream." I didn't respond online. Instead, I called a family meeting at my office away from their territory. Mom, Dad, and Brenda arrived, their faces set in stone. Jade stayed home, but her absence didn't soften the air. I stood behind my desk, Mr. Reed's documents in hand. "You've been living off me," I said evenly. "The mansion, Brenda's car, the trips, I paid for it all. I also hold majority ownership of the family business." Their eyes widened. They had no idea I'd quietly taken control years ago, pouring in my earnings while they spent freely. Brenda sputtered. "That's a lie." Mom's face twisted, unyielding. "You owe us, Iris. We raised you." Dad looked down, voice barely audible. "Maybe we pushed too hard." It was the closest he'd come to regret, but it wasn't enough. Mom snapped at him. "Don't apologize. She's the one who's wrong." I lifted the documents, my grip unshaken. "It's done. No more money. No more house. You're on your own." Brenda lunged forward, shouting, "You can't take everything." But the paperwork was airtight. The mansion's title was already transferred, every account locked down. Their online attacks escalated, but I felt untouchable. They had taken too much for too long, and I was done carrying their weight. Dad's fleeting guilt vanished under Mom's defiance, and I knew nothing would ever change them. 3 months later, Greenwood Village had grown quiet. The mansion my parents once flaunted now stood empty, its grandeur reduced to a for sale sign. My mother Miriam and my father Leonard had moved into a cramped downtown apartment, their lives stripped to the basics. My sister Brenda worked in a retail store, her days now spent folding clothes instead of pursuing art. My niece Jade vanished from sight, her violin untouched since the fallout. I learned these updates from old neighbors. Their silence carried more weight than all their past accusations. A letter arrived from Dad, handwritten, its edges frayed. He wrote of regret, of missing River, of wishing he'd seen things differently. "I failed you?" He admitted, the words shaky. I held the paper, my throat tight, but never replied. His remorse came too late, after years of favoring Jade, after the moment his hand struck my daughter. I tucked the letter away, leaving it unread in my heart, and moved on. Mom sent nothing, her pride unbroken. Brenda's social media rants had gone silent, her fury replaced by resignation. They were rebuilding, but I owed them nothing. My focus turned to River and Todd. We bought my daughter a new violin, a sturdy one she chose herself. Her lessons resumed, her fingers gliding over the strings with fresh confidence. Todd and I carved out evenings to sit outside and listen, her music filling the air. We laughed more, our home, a refuge free of judgment. I took her to the park, her laughter brighter than before. Todd built a wooden stand for her, his quiet support grounding us both. My work at the firm thrived, but it was River's smile that anchored me. After years of chasing my family's approval, I had finally found peace with those who truly mattered. Looking back, the lesson was clear. Family isn't defined by blood, it's the people who respect you, who lift you without conditions. My parents and Brenda had taken, demanded, and wounded us, but River and Todd gave me strength. Protecting River wasn't just a choice, it was my purpose. I would never let anyone dim her light again. That truth settled deep inside me, a quiet resolve shaping the life we built anew.